You think you've become stronger. That's what you tell yourself, right? That nothing shakes you anymore, that you've learned how to stay calm, grounded, unbothered. The world gets worse, louder, heavier, and you stay the same. Stable, controlled, quiet. But if you're honest for a second, really honest, something feels off. Because it's not just the chaos outside that stopped affecting you, it's everything. Good news doesn't hit the same, bad news doesn't break through. Moments that used to move you barely register now. You don't react the way you used to. And at first it felt like growth, like maturity, like finally getting your emotions under control. But what if that's not what happened at all? What if you didn't become stronger? What if you just stopped feeling? Not completely, just enough to function. Just enough to get through the day without collapsing under the weight of everything you're exposed to. Because your brain was never designed for this. It wasn't built to process endless streams of tragedy, crisis, fear, comparison, pressure. It wasn't meant to wake up every day to a world that feels unstable and overwhelming. At first you tried to keep up. You felt everything, you reacted, you cared, you absorbed it all, and it was too much. So your system did the only thing it could do to survive. It adapted. But adaptation isn't always beautiful. Sometimes it looks like silence, like distance, like emotional numbness that creeps in so slowly you don't even notice it happening. It doesn't hit you all at once, it's subtle. You scroll past something that should upset you and you don't stop. You hear bad news and it barely lands. You feel something uncomfortable and distract yourself immediately. Again and again and again, until one day you realize you're not overwhelmed anymore, but you're also not really connected. It's like watching your own life from a distance, like there's a thin layer of glass between you and everything you experience. You're there but not fully, you feel but not deeply, you live but something is missing. And the most dangerous part is that it feels normal, it even feels like relief, because compared to anxiety and emotional overload, numbness feels peaceful. It feels like control. It feels like finally getting your life together, but it's not peace, it's shutdown, it's your nervous system saying, I can't keep doing this, so I won't. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Numbness doesn't just block pain, it blocks everything. You don't just lose anxiety, you lose depth, presence, the ability to feel joy the way you used to be moved, to be touched by something real. You become efficient, functional, even strong in the eyes of others, but inside there's less of you, less connection, less aliveness. And no one really talks about this part because from the outside you look fine. You're not breaking down, not dramatic, not too emotional. You're easy, stable, convenient. But inside something quietly faded, and you noticed it, maybe not right away, but in small moments, when something good happened and you didn't feel as happy as you expected, when someone opened up to you and you couldn't fully connect, when you realized you've been distracting yourself all day just to avoid sitting with your own thoughts. That's when it hits, not as panic but as a quiet emptiness, and you don't know what to do with it because you can't just force yourself to feel again. Numbness isn't something you snap out of, it's something you trained. Every time something felt too heavy, you avoided it. Every time something hurt, you escaped it. Every time you felt discomfort, you replaced it with distraction, scrolling, working, consuming, numbing, not because you're weak, but because you were trying to cope. And over time, your brain learned something simple. Feeling is dangerous, avoid it. So it got better at avoiding, faster, more automatic, more efficient, until it became your default. And now you're here, not overwhelmed, not broken, but not fully alive either. So what do? You don't go backwards. You don't try to become who you were before because you've seen too much for that. The goal isn't to feel everything again. The goal is to start noticing, to catch the moments where you disconnect, to pause before you scroll away, to stay with a feeling even for a few seconds longer than usual, not to drown in it, but to acknowledge it. Because awareness is the first crack in numbness, small but real. When you notice that you're avoiding something, that's already a shift. When you feel even a tiny reaction, that's a sign you're still there, still capable, still connected somewhere underneath all of this. And slowly those small moments build. You don't suddenly become emotional again. You become present, more aware, more honest about what's happening inside you, and that's real strength. Not ignoring everything, not staying unaffected, but staying connected without collapsing. Because being human was never about feeling nothing. It was about feeling and still moving forward. So maybe the real question isn't why you don't feel anything anymore. Maybe it's when you started teaching yourself not to, and more importantly, are you ready to stop?